We are live. It is the very first official Teaching Tip Tuesday going into the new school year. So, welcome to Teaching Tip Tuesday. I'm Michelle, aka the Ignited Teacher. And on Teaching Tip Tuesday, I help you close math learning gaps by providing research based tips and effective math strategies that can be implemented in your classroom the very next day. So, welcome, welcome, welcome. If you're new here, thank you for tuning in tonight. If you have been tuning in for a while, thank you for being a part of my community. And I always tell you, if you can't catch me live on Teaching Tip Tuesday, you can always catch me on YouTube. All of my YouTube videos, I live stream into different places. That's Twitter, Facebook, as well as YouTube. So if you can't catch me, you can't catch me on like the social media stream because it gets pushed down all of the time. What I tell people to do is hop on over while you're thinking about it because it's about to get busy and go ahead and subscribe to my YouTube channel. It's the Ignited Teacher. All you have to do is do a search and subscribe to the channel and watch this stream and click the bell so that you can get notified for when I go live and or upload new videos. And I am trying to hit 1,000 subscribers. That is the magic number on YouTube. I am currently, I think, at 798. So I'm close, close, close. So if you can help me out, that will be great. Also coming up every fourth Saturday at the end of the month, I've started a coffee chat. The coffee chat is just me talking about things and my thoughts because we never really get a time to reflect, and I never really get time to just share my thoughts about different things. I've been in this profession so long and I've seen things change, and I see what's happening to our profession. So, just kind of letting my thoughts about different things, having a conversation with you all. So I'm inviting you. This is your official invitation to join me on my coffee chat, which is every fourth Saturday at 8 a.m. It's for the early risers. If you're not an early riser, this is not for you. Catch me on the replay when you wake up. So thank you again for tuning in for this Teaching Tip Tuesday. And it only lasts for 30 minutes. If you're on the chat watching live, go ahead in the comment section. Let me know. Say hi. Tell me where you're tuning in from and what grade you're teaching this year. That will be great. So, our topic for today, let me push this up. Our topic for today is evidence-based math versus research-based math. And that's our topic. A lot of people tend to say we need research-based strategies. I hear that all the time. And the problem is, now, the problem that we have is that a lot of people don't really understand what they're saying as it pertains to research-based learning or research-based strategies. Now, when I was a master teacher, and a lot of people don't really care for the teacher advancement program, but I learned a lot about, you know, researching strategies, implementing strategies, doing all those things that, were important. Like it was really, really because my mind works that way. So it was great for me to learn how to research strategies, take a focus group, and do action research, which is something I'm going to talk about today, and then come back and duplicate that or replicate it for teachers in the building. So that was great, and I think as teachers, our autonomy has been taken away from us. Yes, our principals are instructional leaders, but to be honest with you, you eventually become the expert in your classroom. And I feel like teachers need to own that title. And it's not a controversial conversation about pedagogical, conversations and really different ways that we teach things. I think those conversations are healthy and they're much needed, but we don't have them. We have these cookie cutter curriculums that don't work for children, and that I know that I teach. And we have these cookie cutter programs that, like Pearson and these other companies are putting out, and a lot of them do not work. If you look up the research behind like activities and those resources that are out there for students, a lot of them are for your bell curve students. Those are those students that are just average. That is who we generally teach to. That's why when you have a child that's above grade level or a child that's below grade level, our system doesn't know how to deal with them. And I think evidence based, and this is based on my years of experience, evidence based strategies work better than research based strategies, because research based just says that it was tried, but it may not be practical. And I'm going to move on, let me see, to this lady, and I really like how she broke it down. And let me move over to here. I'm going to, because I know I generally don't use this. Let me see. See if I can move this over. Oh, I had this problem last week. Let me go back up here. That one is, alrighty. I'll make it larger. And I'm going to change, because I don't like this box. So let me go up here and change the window here. Hold on one second. So you all can see. I'll move up here. There we go. All right, so evidence-based versus, and I'm gonna make it bigger so you can see it. Evidence-based research, what's the difference? So here she talks about, let me move that. Dr. Shaywitz. So they said we can help explain. So Dr. Sally Shaywitz, co-director of Yale Center for Dyslexia and Creativity, provides a simple explanation. And there's a video here that goes with that about the difference between the two terms and how they relate to reading programs. And this is just reading, but it still applies to math. She says that when we're talking about research based, she said, first, it requires that the program was studied by research who were not involved in creating the program. In addition, the researchers cannot stand apart from out. Finally, the researchers conducted should have the following characteristics. And she was saying that she discusses how research based means that there are theories behind it, but they aren't always proven true. And that's what you have to be careful when we're talking about research based strategies. And a lot of textbook companies will throw that stuff out there and say that, oh, this was true, and because it's research, but that's not necessarily true. And that has always been my argument about research based things when they talk about that. But I believe that evidence based is better, because she's saying that she tells how evidence based means that there is efficacy to back it up. Basically, it has been tried and the practicality is there. And we talk about these things, and teachers feel like, things that they do in their classrooms, it's because some company didn't put it out. That's the furthest from the truth. I have, like, even with my math intervention academy, my strategies are evidence based, meaning that I can replicate though the same success year after year using that same intervention system that I use. There's nothing different about it. So that is evidence based, and that's all you need as a teacher. If you're one of those teachers, and for me, the curriculum in my school district, it's never enough. It doesn't go far enough. It doesn't go deep enough. It really just is a guide for me. And I create my own learning path for my students. I create my own way to close gaps based on the data from my students. And that's where that evidence-based research comes from. So now I'm going to move on to action research. Action research is what you can use in your classroom. And if you ever, like, we have district people that come in our classroom all the time and really try to tell us how to teach our students. But at the end of the day, you know your students. So with action research, it says action research is a method of systematic inquiry that teachers undertake as researchers of their own practice. That's what action research is. So when we look at evidence-based strategies and you're going to your data dig, you can use this information and have a conversation about pedagogy. Pedagogy is basically instructional strategies, how you deliver your content, the mode in which you deliver it. So basically, you can say as a teacher, as a practitioner, that I did my own action research of my own practice. And it says the inquiry involved in action research is often visualized and a cyclical process. Two examples which are shown. So data collection. Remember I said I always start with the data that's in my classroom. That starts action research. And then um here it says clarifying the situation. So on over here it says, what is your interpretation of the theory? So I have a theory about problem solving. I used to teach first grade, and my data always told me that there were two paths in problem solving. One was that there's a math issue, and the other one is that there's a reading issue. And they're not the same, because the child can do well with the computation and the algorithms, but when it comes into context, that literacy piece brings that math content level down, because you have to have the content literacy to do well in mathematics. And a lot of my students, they understood what we were doing, but as soon as we put that text to it, they will fall apart because there was a comprehension issue. So my theory was that if I add reading comprehension strategies to my problem solving, that it would increase, and that was my hypothesis, it would increase my students' understanding of mathematics, and it, as well as increasing their problem solving skills. And guess what? It was true. For 3 years, I used read, draw, write, and I added context clues. I added inferencing, predictions, all of those things that they use in reading. I brought it over to math inside the read part of read, draw, write. And to my point is, I'm teaching teachers on starting on the 26th how to do this in their classroom so that they can support the students that read below grade level. So that was my theory about the problem that was in my classroom and why my data looked the way it did. So then it says here, developing an action strategy and putting them into practice. So what I did, I went out and I started looking for something that would help with my kids with deeper learning and thinking. And I came across thinking routines. So inside of my problem solving, I use thinking routines. So they have routines like see, think, wonder. Our students at our school were struggling with stimuli that was charts, tables, and graphs, because those are rigorous test items, because what it starts with, there's no text. So you have to predict what information and really interpret the graph. So it's at a higher level anyway. So if you have like the tape diagram or the bar model or any type of models, that increases the level of rigor for any test item. And the kids have to be able to interpret. That's why it's so difficult. I have seen standardized tests where it's nothing, no words, just a fraction model, and it gives you instructions. That is it. And the kids have to go for what they know. But those are rigorous because the students, they have to interpret it. And sometimes they don't interpret it the correct way. So what I did is implemented those thinking routines, see, think, wonder, zoom in. They were zooming in. And then sentence, phrase, word. Those are the three thinking routines that I use. Sentence, phrase, word is kind of like context clues. You start with the sentence. Do I understand? Come down smaller. Make it a phrase that helps you solve the problem. And then what word tells you what what operation you're going to use. So start here, smaller phrase, and then words. Those were the thinking routines. And then the last step is analysis and theory. So I analyze my data to see if the outcome was what I was looking for. And it was, because what it did is it supported my kids' reading comprehension skills within the context of the math classroom. And it goes further than content literacy. People say, well, I'm not a reading teacher and we just teach the literacy part. No, you have to support in math. No longer can you just teach mathematics anymore. It doesn't work like that, especially at the high school level. You have to support children in that comprehension part. because they're not going to understand. If you do this, I promise you, my special education students actually started passing STAR. I had kids, my special ed kids always grew and they always hit their IEP goals, but I could never get them to pass. But the first year, 2017, when I started using this, I had my first special ed students to pass the STAR test, hands down, because they have oral administration for standardized tests. But I taught them how to think through the problem, and that's what we have to do. And if you are doing things in your classroom, I encourage you to say, you know what, I have evidence based research and I conducted action research, which you can look at, Google it on the internet and say, this is what my action research told me. And I'm telling you, arguing about how you're going to deliver instruction, it doesn't solve anything, but you have to have the what you're doing in your classroom and the numbers to support it. So let me go ahead and recap. So when, if you're a teacher listening to this or watching this live stream, if you're an instructional specialist or a principal, and if you're supporting teachers, encourage teachers to do action research and use their evidence-based strategies. You can start with a research-based strategy and get the evidence to support it, because certain research-based strategies don't work. They work with certain demographics of students. For example, they have research on high impact tutoring. Tutoring does not work for kids in high poverty areas. First of all, a lot of times students that in high poverty areas have multiple siblings. And especially if they're students in secondary, elementary, or upper elementary, a lot of those kids have to go get their younger siblings. So I am a proponent of getting kids and doing interventions and giving extra time during the school day when we have them. Because I've had kids that have had to get their 3, 4 brothers and sisters and sit in our class while we did tutoring. And it's distraction because the child then becomes the miniature parent is concerned about the kids and not concerned about the work, and they need a reprieve. So I'm not a fan of that. And they were, people are saying, well, there's research behind it. Yes, but there's always other qualitative data that the numbers don't capture. And that's the situations that students come from. And it just doesn't support it all the time. And you're only telling one part of the story, but not the other part of children who have siblings and other things that they have to do after school. So I hope that we're at 7:59. Did a good job today. I hope that you all enjoyed this Teaching Tip Tuesday on evidence-based versus research-based strategy, and figure out which one is best for you based on what I have presented tonight. And let me know in the comment sections, what do you think about research-based strategies when we're talking about this and we go to these conferences? But I always call it, there's theory, no practice. You have all these theories about things, but you haven't practiced it with not one person. So let me know in the comment section what you think about it. And guess what? I'll see you on